Okay, this is our new fibre laser, just arrived from China. We're just going to open it and we'll have a look and start the unpacking. Okay, the lid off the box, bit of packing in there, and that's the top of the main up-down adjustment. It seems to have a fair amount of packaging to protect the machine inside there. I'll pull all that packaging out and see what it looks like in the box. Okay, now it's out of the box. We can see our main components. The power supply computer, the brains of the machine, is in the box. The separate component, which has got the fibre laser head, adjustable height, all that sort of stuff set up on it, so we can actually use the rotary table, etc., is a separate construction. Joined by the main lead, which is the fibre laser power lead, which works the laser head itself. Okay, well, once we start testing, we'll get back to you. These are the components that come in the box with the chuck head. So the chuck head itself, got the different another range of chuck pieces themselves, the foot switch, sampled aluminium cards, Allen keys, USB cable, a USB cable, a 240 volt cable, and the optics of 110 by 110, and the other option we've got is the 300 by 300, which is in the machine, so depending which way you want to cut or engrave. Okay, basically pull your machine out of the box, set it up approximately where you want on your bench. This cord is attached permanently, which comes from the power box, etc., across to the head. There are four inputs. One is the electricity, 240 volts, the rotating interface, the solid interface is what they're calling a button or a foot switch, and USB. So basically we're collecting a USB, will be going across to the computer. Okay. Connect that one to the computer. The second one is our rotating head, which will be connecting to that one there. Yes. The third one is the foot switch, which is still a 2-pin plug on this one. That's for your marking. When you push that, it will start marking. And your third one is going to be, your fourth one is going to be 240 volts. So hook those all up. This to the 240. Next we're going to hook up the machine's USB to the USB on the computer. So we have to put the three buttons on, which is laser beam, galvanometer, and red light. The three then, you can hear the tick then, that's telling the USB cable that it's connected. So on your computer you will have something like, this is this PC or my PC or something like that. You right click on that and go to manage. That will then open. Now we have a device manager there. In device manager there will be a number of different inputs and outputs. We have to now, we will search through these until we find one. Once I find it, I'll... So once we are open device manager, we're looking in all of these folders to see if we can find the one for the laser device. Sometimes it could be in there, but on this one it's got BJJCZ device, which is a new one. So we open that and it says Laser Mark Control Board version 2 USB. So we right click on that and we upgrade the driver software. Now browse my computer. So what's a good idea on your USB disk that you supplied with the machine, you load the drivers or the whole thing onto the desktop so you can find it. So now we've just basically got to find where the driver is. Now there's two drivers there, as you can see in that folder which was on the desktop. There's a Win32 and a Win64. So this is a 64-bit driver. So open that. That will be the drive we're after. It's in that folder. So we just go OK. We go next. It's already up to date, so we close that. But as I said, your folder that you would have got will probably look like this. Mine was all in Chinese, so I will be improving this. I will get some English pictures that which is for setup, all that. So these are all in Chinese. So we'll try and get those so they're set up so people can read what they are. This is the two different programs. This is the older one, EasyCAD 2.76. This is the new one, 2.94. Okay, now we search for wherever you put all your files off the USB disk and into your own hard drive. Got down into that area. The software after, we'll just go for EasyCAD 2.949, which is that one. Open it again. That's the software there. I've made a shortcut, then I've pinned that shortcut to my across my on the top of the bottom of the page here on the toolbar. So instead of having to go in here each time find it, I just hit the toolbar. So I open my toolbar. I agree. That's all in Chinese, so I just don't know what it says, but we have to agree. Okay, now it's open. Now, once it finishes opening, the main things we have to do to start with is get our parameters set correctly. That one there, this is now set up for 110mm field size, and that. Now, in the folder, your setup folder, you'll have 110mm setup files and 300mm setup. Just set each one of those. So click that and then go OK. Set it up like that. Then your second one. Do the parameter again. So laser control. So it's a fiber laser. That's the type of fiber laser it is. This is the pulse width modulation. Okay. Right. So we're setting that. We're also setting the port. That port is set at 15. Pulse mode. That is actually for your on-off switch, your foot switch. So then when you get to here, all you're really setting is your red light pointer. So the red light pointer, you open that. Basically, you can set offsets here. So if you're square, when you push your red 1 or red F1 to see where it's going to mark and it's out, you can adjust the offset from here. This is the X position and the Y position, so you can move it around and you can make it bigger or smaller. Okay, so this is where you can adjust that. So if you set it like that, that should be pretty right at 110. Okay, so all those are set. These are your default settings here. Set. Then you can go into here. All these will be on folders, so you should be just looking at them all as they come up. Just set everything the same as the folders in your setup file. 110 becomes 55 and 55. The width is 110, so that's minus 55 minus 55, that's 110. Okay, and that pretty well gets most of your settings there, but there's about 7 files in there on your setup you should use to make sure you get all those settings correct. Now, one of the ones that you get when you start to do your marking, text mark, takes a little bit longer. So you will be setting up the diameter. So if you measure the diameter of the part you're parting there, okay, and you put that in there. So you put that, see, 23, balance distance per, that's 5. At the same time, you then go into here. Now, if you're setting up like this, which means that your machine is running your rotary table at 90 degrees to the head, say, that will be now working in the y-axis. So make sure the y-axis here is set, because otherwise it won't work. Same again, putting your 23mm in here. All these things just set off the guides in the setup guide. Okay. Right. So now now it's a matter of starting to draw. When you want to see where it's going to mark, say we did a square like that, and we said OK, it tells you there's plenty of information there, it tells you where it is. So we have over here a red dot. Now if I hit the F1 red down here, it now indicates where that square is going to be. So then you can move whatever you're going to engrave on to that position. Okay, back to here, stop, and then next button you can either hit mark there or your stop button and you will start marking. That will just try and mark the outline. If you want to hatch it, which is what they put a fill in, so you go up the top and hit hatch. Now this is a different type of hatches. That's forward moving, it's marking in both directions. It's marking in a square, it's marking down each way, dashes, that's just back, that marks one direction, comes back, marks another one, comes back, marks another one. So the best one probably is that one there, and also it does, you can change that marks it, it'll mark the outline first and then do the dots, or it'll do the fill first and then it'll run the outline around the outside of it. So from there, that should, now we've got a black fill. If we hit mark from there, that will do that black fill on the place that we've marked it as. Okay, this machine is capable of doing 300mm. It's a 30 watt with a 300mm work area or 110mm work area. The factory put that tag on there. I've put the 300mm one to explain what that should be, the focal from the base of the table to the focus. Same here, that's about 150. That should be 100, on 110mm work area, about 150 is the distance from the base of the table to on the scale. So that's only the scale. The actual size from down here to there is the actual size that they usually work on. A lot of times they work on. But if you're doing something that is 10mm thicker, you would wind it up 10mm, 20mm, 20mm, etc. So that's the easiest way. Otherwise you're just measuring down from the head down to your work. And when you're doing rotary table, you're measuring from the same thing, from the head down to the work again. These marks are only approximate. To get it accurate, you can actually draw a square, filled square when hatch it, say 16 by 16, and while it is doing the square, engraving the square, you can wind your head up or down and see if you can get a better mark, and because focus is very critical. It can only be a tiny bit out and it'll work completely differently. So that's a starting point, and adjust it up and down according to each particular job, just by putting something under the beam and test marking it to see how it's marking, and then adjust your focal length from there. And that's very important when we're actually doing the rotary table. That's a good way to set it on the rotary. Lift it up, measure your distance, take it up that much, and then just test it with a piece of alloy or something. Okay, I've got a bit of very thin aluminium card there that's supplied with the machine. I'm going to mark that with a label, Coal Tool Centre. Now, that was just an outline done with the text feature. Then I've gone into hatch and hatched it, so that's the hatching is the black. We centralise it by clicking on it, and then we click up here and that puts it dead centre. Now because that's very light, the aluminium, it probably won't need a lot of power, so I've changed the speed to 900 and then power down to 20% power. Now if I put mark, if I put F1 for red, it will now draw a square. Very difficult to see from a different angle, but If you come back over here, you might be able to see the square. So then you can position your card where it's going to go. So from there, I just come back, switch off the stop one. Now I can either hit mark down here, or I can hit my foot switch. So I'll set this up here, and I'll hit the foot switch. So, same as always with lasers, combination of power and speed, depending on the machine. Okay, we have the focus right now. We have the square lined up. I'll give it another try. Much more satisfactory. It's burning properly. So the focus is critical. It's not engraving properly, it's probably out of focus. Just adjust it up and down until you get your focus right. And stainless is more critical, it's very critical. Very hard material. It's lovely.